The splendid mortuary temple of the last great king of the 20th dynasty, Ramses III, circa 1187 to 1156 BC, was also relatively well preserved, and indicated the prosperity Egypt still enjoyed during his reign. The kings who followed Ramses III were less successful. Egypt lost its provinces in Palestine and Syria for good and suffered from foreign invasions, notably by the Libyans, while its wealth was being steadily but inevitably depleted. Third Intermediate Period, circa 1085 to 664 BC. The next 400 years, known as the Third Intermediate Period, saw important changes in Egyptian politics, society and culture. Centralized government under the 21st dynasty pharaohs gave way to the resurgence of local officials, while foreigners from Libya and Nubia grabbed power for themselves and left a lasting imprint on Egypt's population. The 22nd dynasty began around 945 BC with King Sheshonq, a descendant of Libyans who had invaded Egypt during the late 20th dynasty and settled there. Many local rulers were virtually autonomous during this period, and dynasties 23 to 24 are poorly documented. In the 8th century BC, Nubian pharaohs beginning with Shabako, ruler of the Nubian kingdom of Kush, established their own dynasty, the 25th at Thebes. Under Kushite rule, Egypt clashed with the growing Assyrian Empire. In 671 BC, the Assyrian ruler Esarhaddon drove the Kushite king Taharqa out of Memphis and destroyed the city. He then appointed his own rulers out of local governors and officials loyal to the Assyrians. One of them, Necho of Se, ruled briefly as the first king of the 26th dynasty before being killed by the Kushite leader Tanu Ataman, in a final, unsuccessful grab for power. From the late period to Alexander's conquest, circa 664 to 332 BC. Beginning with Necho's son, Psammetichus, the Saite dynasty ruled a reunified Egypt for less than 2 centuries. In 525 BC, Cambyses, king of Persia, defeated Psammetichus III, the last Saite king, at the Battle of Pelusium, and Egypt became part of the Persian Empire. Persian rulers such as Darius, 522 to 485 BC, ruled the country largely under the same terms as native Egyptian kings. Darius supported Egypt's religious cults and undertook the building and restoration of its temples. The tyrannical rule of Xerxes, 486 to 465 BC, sparked increased uprisings under him and his successors. One of these rebellions triumphed in 404 BC, beginning one last period of Egyptian independence under native rulers, dynasties 28 to 30. In the mid-4th century BC, the Persians again attacked Egypt, reviving their empire under Artaxerxes III in 343 BC. Barely a decade later, in 332 BC, Alexander the Great of Macedonia defeated the armies of the Persian Empire and conquered Egypt. After Alexander's death, Egypt was ruled by a line of Macedonian kings, beginning with Alexander's general Ptolemy and continuing with his descendants. The last ruler of Ptolemaic Egypt, the legendary Cleopatra VII, surrendered Egypt to the armies of Octavian, later Augustus. In 31 BC, 6 centuries of Roman rule followed, during which Christianity became the official religion of Rome and the Roman Empire's provinces, including Egypt. The conquest of Egypt by the Arabs in the 7th century AD and the introduction of Islam would do away with the last outward aspects of ancient Egyptian culture and propel the country towards its modern incarnation.